This video is to help you understand some of the key differences between a good executive summary, a bad executive summary, a good outro, and a bad outro. So when it comes to a good executive summary, we really want you to talk about what is being investigated. Go to those key findings, and also, if there is a problem, go to the solution. Now, for some of your reports, there won't be a problem. We might just be investigating data. If there is a problem, though, make sure that problem is clearly outlined to the reader, and then we go through the clear findings that we have related to that problem, and then we give the solution for the problem. This all flows into each sentence needs to be impactful. When you give a sentence in an executive summary, you need to make sure it's telling the reader information with each sentence. There shouldn't be sentences that just extend the length of the executive summary. So try to focus on maybe a 4 to 6 sentence executive summary. It depends on what you're writing, but generally that is probably a good length for an executive summary in our class. Finally, think of this as a condensed report. The executive summary here is going to be your key findings, the problem you're writing about, and also the solution to the problem. If you were to walk into the elevator with one of the executives in the company and they asked you what you were doing your work on, you might only have 30 seconds to a minute to tell them the problem, tell them your findings, and tell them what the plan of action is from here. So try to make this like an elevator pitch, try to make it very impactful, and try to make it very clear on everything that is in your report. Once again, think of this as your whole report consolidated just down into 4 to 6 sentences. How would you use those 4 to 6 sentences? Use them wisely. So we can look at what a bad executive summary often looks like, and it'll look like it could be for any report. It'll just be, hello, my name is, this report was completed on. A lot of that information can be obtained by putting a date on a report or putting your name on a report. And if you're giving that to the executives, they might, just skip over that page. We want them to read this. We want this to be impactful. So this should not be something that looks copy-pasted or not specific to the report. Also, the executive summary shouldn't go into great detail on everything. That's why we have the report. The executive summary is a summary, so point number 2, don't go into great detail on every little thing in your report. Make it clear what the key findings are and where you will be going from here. So this is not a chance to just copy-paste from the report and grab whole sentences. Try to think about how to best use your information report in a consolidated form, as we saw with a good executive summary. We get a bad executive summary. Often the findings are not clear. It's a little hard for the reader to know exactly what they're going to be reading down below. Think of this as, a Cliff Notes for a book. A good Cliff Notes will give you all the information, but a bad Cliff Notes will not give you much information with the key stuff within the book. So if your findings are not clear, that'll generally be a bad executive summary. Going to the outro, we can see a good outro contains key insights from the report. Now, when you do an outro, it's different than an executive summary because the outro is what the person's going to read after the report. So you might highlight some of the key findings. You might just, mention but don't simply restate the things you found. Such as if I'm working for a car company and we're trying to see why we have problems with our engines, I might point to the differences between the manufacturers as being some of the areas we would need to investigate further. So you think about this right here where it leads into point number 2. If I found these differences between the manufacturer, this might be an area of focus that I think we need to put more money and attention towards. If you notice, this is more towards the whole solution, towards everything we found, because it's at the end of the report. Now, the executive summary might, or it should, have my suggestions, but this is generally the outro, which is also condensed in the executive summary. Remember, the executive summary is the whole report condensed, so it does contain the outro. And with this right here, you should, in your outro, give ideas for the future. You should give imagination on what to do forward. You're going to be talking to your bosses and your executives and telling them, here's where we're currently at, here's what we need to do. So it does give more of that focus on where do we go from here. So it's more solution-oriented, more future-oriented, more idea-oriented than it is the analysis or the understanding of the problem, which is what the report is for. A bad outro feels like it's copy-pasted from a report. And wait a minute, that was copy-pasted from right here. If you are copy pasting just your sentences down to just restate results, so if you're just restating your results found throughout the report, that is not what you want to do. You don't want to copy paste from your report. You don't want to have it be on any report where it could just be, thank you for reading my report, I'll do more work for you. That isn't on any report. And if you work at a company, they would hopefully be like, of course, you'll do more work for me, you work here. We want to give specific actions going forward. We don't want to be vague in our actions going forward. We want to make it clear where we're going. We want to give imagination. We don't want to just leave people wondering, well, what do we do from here? Well, you told me all these problems in your report. You told me all these things you investigated. What do we do from here? Where are we going? What's the plan? If you have a lot of data, maybe there's other questions you can investigate. Do we have lots of questions that were not used in this report? Well, what could we investigate further from here? And that's the kind of thing people are looking for. They're looking for people who take initiative, where they're going to show imagination on what to do and go forward, rather than people who have no idea on what to do with the report information. So we want to kind of give some direction, some advice with our insights. And that is the difference between good outros and bad outros, along with the difference between a good executive summary and a bad executive summary.